Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Lewis and Clark.
Today, we're going to make simple meat soup, just like Lewis and Clark, 19th century style.
Welcome to another episode of Cooking with Lewis and Clark. I'm Mr. Raymond,
I'm Mr. Graham.
and this is our boss.
Eye candy.
That's right, he's eye candy, Mr. Ray. You know, we make the magic, he allows the magic to happen. Poof. And this is,
I'm Mr. Gimby, and I was ordered to be here.
now today on Cooking with Lewis and Clark, we're going to make simple meat soup, which, Mr. Graham, that leaves a lot up to interpretation.
It does, but as always, I'm just here for the food. So.
And you're here.
I have absolutely no responsibilities here whatsoever.
You're just the eye candy. All right, so if you follow us over here, this is what you need to make simple meat soup. So by 1805, Lewis and Clark had made it to the Pacific coast where they built Fort Clatsop. They spent the winter of 1805 and 1806. Now for nourishment, they would hunt for deer and elk. And Mr. Graham, they would also fish too, correct?
Yeah, they would fish. You know, exploring isn't always fun and games. They would go fishing for salmon. The Native Americans taught them a lot of how to catch the fish, how to prepare the fish. They didn't teach them so well on how to preserve the fish, unfortunately. A lot of their fish stock went bad, and instead of eating fish, I hate to tell you, they turned to eating some of their dogs. Because it was either eat the bad fish or eat the fresh meat dog. So.
Now they did preserve their meat, Mr. Gimby, here with salt water. They would boil it.
They would boil it.
They would
Yes,
boil
they
it.
would. You could get about 1 cup of salt per 1 gallon of seawater.
And they would use that to preserve the meat that they had. Oftentimes, they would hunt for deer and elk, and the meat they had would sometimes be spoiled. Now, we did not go hunt for deer and elk, and our meat for sure is not spoiled. To make what we're going to call simple meat soup, you need to have meat. Now, I went to the local supermarket and went to the meat aisle,
Meat aisle?
and I got myself a New York strip. Not spoiled and better than deer and elk. I also got a little bouillon. Now, if y'all don't know what bouillon is, just think about that packet of bouillon. Think about that packet of stuff you have in the ramen noodles. That's what bouillon is. I don't think they had bouillon, but you know what? We're gonna make it taste a little better.
aisle either.
They didn't have a meat aisle. We've got a tater, a sharp knife. Always have parental supervision. And Mr. A, we have, just like in the 1980s, a little
Salt and pepper.
salt and
Push
pepper.
it real good.
Now, to make simple meat soup, we are going to take about 4 cups of water, put it into our pot. We are going to combine in that pot our meat and we are going to combine. Anybody want to push this salt and pepper right in there?
I'll push one in.
You want to push one in?
Push the salt in.
Push it real good.
We're in a bed, wanting to push it back. Who in my bed at night, working up a sweat.
Salt and pepper. And we have some bouillon.
Bouillon. Drop the bouillon.
Very simple recipe, ladies and gentlemen, for simple meat soup. We are going to put this on our fire. We're going to let this boil. Once it boils, we're then going to add the potato to it. So let's take this and
Look at that.
now while that is there, I'm going to take my pre-washed potato, and I've got a very sharp knife. Mr. Gimby, you want to do the honors?
Parental supervision.
All you got to do is cut the potato up into little chunks. I'm not trusting Mr. A with the sharp knife. Oh. Exactly. Is it? No, we don't need to peel. We don't need to peel. We're not peeling it. We're just cutting it into chunks.
Not that kind of video.
Watch those fingers with your knuckles.
We said simple meat soup. It didn't say it.
Not that simple.
Concerned about his fingers.
Yeah, I got the technique.
You know, we get
I'm a professional. We asked the guitarist of the group to cut this. I didn't think about that. You know who would cut that tater like nobody's business?
Who?
Sammy Hagar.
Well, I don't know about that one.
Who died and made you David Lee Roth?
You have to have it. Look at that skill.
All right, now we have
Smaller?
smaller. One more.
Smaller. One
All
more.
right, Mr. Graham, Mr. Alessandroni, Mr. Gimby. While Mr. Gimby's finishing it up, we're gonna let this boil, and we'll be back in about, well, as long as it takes that to boil. We'll be back. We'll add our potato, and we'll get moving with some simple meat soup.
I'll turn it off.
It's not boiling.
No, it's not.
Well, we're back, and Mr. A, our man who had no responsibility whatsoever.
None.
None. He had to leave, so he asked us to bring leftovers tomorrow, if there are any. Now, this has been on here for about 20 minutes, and now it's boiling. Let's just double check. Yeah, that's boiling.
Yep.
Very good.
Confirmed.
All right, Mr. Gimby, you want to grab our potato that you so nicely cut up into cubes? We'll put that in. Nice save. Nice
Excellent.
save.
Excellent.
Now we just have to cover the lid, and we're going to let that on there for about 20 minutes.
All right.
And then, with luck, it'll be good. It'll be yummy.
It'll be soup.
It'll be soup.
Soup's on.
Soup's on. All right, very good. Very good, Matt. So we're going to take our soup off of the. Well, you want to get a shot of it real quick? Come on in. There's our simple meat soup. It's actually looking really good.
It smells good too.
It smells good. It is. This is one of these meals that I've made this before, and I take this recipe with me when I go camping. It's very easy to do when you're camping, and I enjoy this one when I'm not doing cooking with Lewis and Clark. All right, so we're gonna just put a little bit in so that it cools down quickly, and then we'll fill it back up. Mr. Graham. All right, now we do know that this is hot.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
and we do this all the time. All right, simple meat soup. What's it smell, you guys? It smells really good. All right, well, bon appetit. Here we go.
Hot.
Hot. Really hot.
Hot and delicious.
Whoa.
Hot and delicious.
Look at this. It's cooked.
And it's well, it was boiling. Yeah, which by the way killed all the bacteria that might have been in there.
That's good news. That's really good
That's
news.
really good
It's
news.
good to hear, actually. It's very,
Science.
it's very encouraging.
Very good. All right, well, simple meat soup, just like Lewis and Clark in 1805, 1806. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It was great to have you with us today.
Cheers.
Mr. Graham, as always, very good.
ya.
Mr. Gimby, as always. And I'll let you guys do the pleasantries there. You're going to shake hands.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, very good. All right, we'll see you next time.
If you want to make simple meat soup just like Lewis and Clark, here's what you need and what you need to do.
Just read really fast.
That is yummy.